Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. Pre-season football is in high gear across Europe. On Saturday, La Liga heavyweights Real Madrid and Barcelona clashed in El Clasico at Allegiant Stadium in Nevada, USA. Barca won 1-0 courtesy of a fine 7-minute strike from ex-Leeds winger Rafinha. Elsewhere in the USA, Arsenal blanked Chelsea 4-0 in the Florida Cup at Camping World Stadium through goals from Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, Bukayo Saka and Albert Lokonga. Speaking after the game, Chelsea boss Thomas Tuchel questioned the commitment of his players. He says, "We deserve to lose, which is fair enough because we were simply not good enough. We were simply not competitive. The worrying part is that the level of commitment physically and mentally for this match was far higher for Arsenal than for us. I cannot guarantee we will be ready in 2 weeks. I saw today a team from Arsenal that had an idea of how to play to a level of exhaustion and a level of physical commitment that we could not match, and also a level of mental commitment which we lack because we have a lot of players who think about leaving, are looking for other options, and we have players who left." Well, Brent Sancho joins us now to discuss Tuchel's comments. Brent, trouble in Chelsea's camp from early?
Hi, Mariah. Hi, everyone. And, of course, hello to all your viewers all over. No, not at all. It's all mind games. This is the time of the season where you try to fine-tune your squad and make sure that they understand what you want as a manager. It's a good time to lay down a marker, and that's what Tuchel's doing. He's laying down a marker and letting his team know exactly what he expects from them, and he views that Arsenal game to do that.
Chelsea has made numerous signings during the transfer window, with many saying that, this will be their best season yet. Do you feel as if, this is just pre-season, they're not too bothered, and we'll see the best of them when the actual competition begins?
Look, pre-season results very rarely means anything. It's really an opportunity to bond as players, to obviously integrate as a squad, and to make sure from a fitness and sharpness perspective that you're on the levels that are necessary. But outside of that, that's just what it is. But in terms of the bringing in of players, I do think they have done quite well. But Mariah, so have the rest of the Premiership. When you look at what Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, Spurs have done, Manchester United for a lesser, that's what you're dealing with. So, yeah, they've done well in terms of what they've brought in, but there's still a lot of pieces to be filled. I think defensively they're still a bit short, but I think they will fix that before the season starts.
Brent, now is the best time of the season to talk about quality of squad, because I know you're not one of them, but we have many analysts who are wise after the fact, and when a team that they fancied starts to unravel, they say, well, the squad was this and the squad was that. Based on what the big boys in England have done already in terms of buying, who would you say has done the best business so far in making that squad balanced and competitive?
I think if you look at the collective, I'd probably go with Arsenal. I really like what they've done in terms of what they've purchased, and where they are before they made the purchases to where they are now. In terms of completeness, I would have to say Man City. I think bringing in Haaland is just put them to a whole nother level, and they're already there already. And the fact that, and I think one of the signings that's not really a signing is being able to keep Bernardo Silva. I think that's massive for Manchester City. So from those two perspectives, I would have to tip my hat to Arsenal, as I said, but certainly to Man City with what they've been able to do.
There's a popular saying in Jamaica, Brent, especially among older folk from rural Jamaica, where they say, dog have money, he buy cheese. A dog has money, he buys cheese. I say that to ask, Arsenal paid Manchester City 30-odd million plus for Alexander Zinchenko. Is Zinchenko a 30-odd million pound player, Brent Sancho?
No, I actually think he's a lot more. I am surprised they got him for so cheap, to be honest with you, because of what he presents. He is everything you want in a modern-day wing-back. Obviously, you talk You sort of talk about Cancelo and what he does to Manchester City. But what Zinchenko brings is something enterprising, something very much on the peripherals of what is great about wing-backs in the modern-day game. And to get him for so cheap is a bit of a surprise, to be honest with you.
Really? I'm shocked, Brent Sancho, because for me, Zinchenko isn't worth £3 million. He's an ordinary player internationally. He's not a difference maker for Manchester City. And I see him struggling outside of that system. But you tend to think that he's cheap at £30 million. My goodness.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm taking everything into context in terms of what the market is now. George, if you look at some of the prices that the players are going at, the prices are very much inflated. So I'm talking on what we're dealing with now.
Yeah.
What we know as football, George, he is overpriced. Let's be honest. What we know as football.
But you're going by market standards. You're going by market standards. Okay. Here's another question I want to ask you as we look at pre-season, Brent Sancho. Barcelona pleaded poverty and penury at the back end of last season. When the season finished, they were still pleading poverty. Up to 2 weeks ago, they were pleading that they were this close to being at the poorhouse. Yet, they've been signing players on big money contracts and paying big money for these players. While at the same time, those who are in the squad have been asked to take massive pay cuts. And then, in the case of Frenkie de Jong, he's owed between 14 and 17 million pounds in wages, which the club is refusing to pay, which is why, of course, he's still there, not moving to Manchester United or somewhere else. Don't you think this is something that the players' union should take up to say, why is it that professional players at the club who were there before you started buying players were asked to take massive pay cuts to balance the books, and yet you're spending huge sums to buy players and then to pay these new recruits big wages? It doesn't make sense. It's an abuse of the player position, and we want you to stop it. Isn't that something Fifth Pro should take up, you would say?
It's called Barcelonomics, George. Only Barcelona could figure out how they're being able to do this, and it's something that you see in football. I mean, and I'm not as much as I agree with what you say, and you see throughout football. A lot of clubs run at massive debts, but they're still able to purchase. But I think what Barcelona is doing in terms of the purchases they're making is a bit absurd to be allowed to do it. But I think what our viewers need to understand, I think they will have challenges in trying to fit all of these players into a final squad that could play in La Liga. We saw what happened with Lionel Messi last season, and I suspect something like that would happen unless they can get people off their wage books. But I agree with you. I can't see why they are being allowed to do this kind of spending, because what you are leading to, George, they're actually outspending teams that are not in debt, which is crazy.
So Brent, my producer just told me that Barca are the fifth highest spenders in Europe this season, 103 million euros. But here's the point that I wanted to get agreement, and I'm not leaving this point, Brent. I'm saying you can't ask me to take. You used to pay me $10. You've asked me to take $3 instead, and I said, okay, I'll take $3 because you are in a bind. And then not behind my back, then you go and you sign Lance Whitaker and you pay him $20. You sign Annie Roberts and you pay him $15. You sign Russell Latapy and you pay him $20. And you have me on $3. I'm saying it's an abuse of the player's position.
Yeah, look, George, I think in terms of picking it up outside of Barcelona should be happened, but who? Because FIFA is toothless. Financial fair play is even worse, because we've seen that for many, many years. So who's going to do it? The only authority that can do it is La Liga, like what they did last season, but I'm not allowing them to register.
Yeah.
But there's no mechanism in football to stop them.
Yeah.
And that's the point. But yeah. I agree with what you're saying, but who's going to stop them?
Yeah, who will bail the cat? Still with pre-season, the Jamaica international Leon Bailey caught the eye. His second half goal and assist helped Aston Villa rally from 2-0 down to draw with Manchester United in Perth, Australia in a pre-season game. Let's look at this goal. So Bailey running at Victor Lindelof. Everybody in the world knew Bailey would beat Lindelof easily. The effort from David De Gea left a little bit to be desired, but I wasn't complaining, and I'm a Manchester United fan. I was willing Bailey to take on Lindelof and willing him to score, and he obliged. So the question then, Brent, from his bright performance in the second half, does Bailey not have to do more of this to win over Steven Gerrard and the fans at Villa Park?
You know, when he made the switch, George, I think a lot of people need to understand it takes you a while to settle into the Premiership because of the pace of the game. It's different than any other league in the world. I think we on this show was amazed by Diaz in Liverpool's early settlement into football. I think that is an anomaly. And we can all say that is an anomaly. So I think Bailey needed some time to acclimatize into the Premiership. And I do expect a big season from him because the attributes that he has, it certainly will make him do well in that Premiership. Pace, guile, creativity, very good in 1v1 situations. And I think that is something that would do well in the Steven Gerrard side. And I think that's something that would do well in the Premiership.
Yeah, I think at his best, Leon Bailey is a top 6 winger in the Premier League, easily. And you spoke about Luis Diaz. I think the difference is Diaz didn't have any injuries in his first few games. Bailey kept getting the niggling injuries and then the serious thigh injury, which checked his progress. Anyway, let's hear what the Villa head coach Steven Gerrard said about Bailey after that cameo against Manchester United.
Leon Bailey, obviously one of those to make a big impact when he came on. What did you make of him?
I think it was more than an impact. I think he changed the game. He showed energy, showed speed, he showed a hunger to cause problems. And he's come back in pre-season a different player, not just from a technical point of view, his demeanour, his body language. I think he's trusting his body more. So we need to keep him healthy, but so far for Leon, he is sending a massive signal to me that he wants to be in this 11, so he needs to have a strong 2 weeks.
Yeah, and Brent, the other point to make is this: when you look at the Aston Villa squad, there's no reason why a player of Leon Bailey's ability should be in reserve. He ought to be one of the first names on that team sheet, purely on ability. He has to put in the work, and he has to get lucky with injuries, you'd think.
Well, what stood out for me is what Gerrard said in terms of him staying healthy. I remember my first season at Dundee, I got injured very early because it was different. The pace of the game, even what you ate, what you did, training was different. So you have to settle. And for Bailey playing in the Premiership, coming from the Bundesliga, it would be a challenge for him. And I think if he can stay healthy, and I think he will, because he would have identified while he was injured what he needs to do to close the gap, to improve his fitness, to make sure that he gets on top of his game, and would have worked on that. And the fact that he would have came back a different person is because he would have identified all of that and knows now that he has settled into the Premiership, that he can push on and do very, very well. You're right, there's no player in the Villa squad that has his attributes.
Yeah, Brent, thank you very much for talking with us. In studio with us today, your countryman, Anil Roberts, who is beginning his taper for the Commonwealth Games. The coverage starts on Thursday in Jamaica. And yeah, we have Trinis all around, and because they're good people and they make our work better. All the best to you. We'll talk again.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Good. Break time here. Interactive and Mariah up next.